6'5". I've hit my head so many times.
My son
Like,
is 6'5".
It's just become a normal thing.
When you're ready to take a picture of the food, I will ask them to move the lids.
Okay.
And we'll get that before people.
I'm gonna swap those lenses really quick.
Okay. Did I get an answer from you on the installation?
Oh my gosh, this looks heavy.
Yeah. If it's gonna be that, like, are they handing out awards like at the podium?
Yeah, and it'll be all the same place.
Because I'd like to fit, like, with the required shots, like I'd like to put my tripod there and just stay mounted, and then every time that happens,
I think that's.
I can take a couple pictures, and then they look like they were done on purpose too, instead of a little closer, a little further, you know.
Well, maybe we can put tape on the floor where, because it'll be the president presenting to the different people that can do work. So
Yeah.
tape on the floor. What about different heights?
We'll take
That
the,
doesn't matter. I mean,
take everything down.
I put a zoom lens on, so even if I have to pull a little to get everything in,
So it'll be okay.
but I figure as long as I stay, like, if they know where they're gonna be handing them, basically, then I'll set up just kind of in front.
It's usually like the program is, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Sierra. Nice to meet you.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm Callie.
Hi,
So good.
Sierra. Nice to meet you.
Hey, how's it going? I know Del Rey.
How are you? I'm
Chris.
I know you too.
Good to see you. Where are you at? How are you doing? Good. Staying out of trouble? Okay. We probably should put signs on this.
I know, I gotta change it really quick.
Oh. Let's see. Okay, what time is it?
It is
That was
11 o'clock.
Oh, okay, yeah. These are still not here. Yep. And then we can.
Well, as soon as you're done, we'll pull everything out. We'll leave it till about 12:30. Is that good? Well, they are just.
Oh, beautiful out there. In fact, any of it's. Oh, sure.
Are there?
I mean, I guess it's, I don't know how to go by this.
We're back in the state. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my work is done.
Testing.
Oh, yeah, what are we supposed to do?
Nothing. I already did it.
That's good.
Where do you want to sit?
I've read that.
Thank you. They're so cool.
Sorry.
Yeah. Those are. She's got time to do like 5.5 years. And I'm like, okay, Mom, and they were just 10 wide. And Tom, they're 7.
My daughter does. And so like,
Get a little seriously. Yep.
it's too cold. Exactly. Right now it's like sun. And then when you sit at the table, you'll have to be like this. Take a picture. You're like, spring attractions.
Two buffets with two-sided?
I mean, that's what we had talked about, right? Can we pull it out a little to get two sides?
I do have two sides, yeah, I do.
Okay, we can go behind.
Yeah, but
All right.
almost 140.
If you're
Another one up, but if they're coming in and trickling, it's just, it absorbs it really well.
right when noon happens, that's when the bulk of people come. So they all come at once, and they're usually a little late.
So,
Okay, so I know those first, like, which one do I want? I mean, they say
Well, the Hilton does 2 double-sided buffets for us. Sorry, it's all right.
this will be a little bit of a build-up.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go, I don't think I got my chef's already.
Well,
Aaron?
it's,
How are you?
that's what
Great.
it is. We'll just make it work. But we'll have
I didn't get too much in your way last time, did I?
No.
I was trying to be aware and nothing down, so.
Yeah, just right. So,
you could tell I'm directionally challenged.
2 buffets with 4 lines.
Well, I was gonna say,
Two and two.
like, that's the best place to start.
we talked about that.
Well, you were at the 100.
Oh yeah. So then you got the.
Yeah.
So when we talked on the phone, I said 125.
Yeah,
And
that's
I sent
easy.
you the.
And see, we do chamber like this too, and chamber just keeps it open, they just kind of drag it in, and there's not a build up. But if you're only giving it 15 minutes, so it'll be a week. 15
That's
minutes.
all everyone's
Yeah,
going for.
you're only opening it up at 11:45.
Right.
Oh,
No,
hey.
we can go this way. But yeah, I see what you're saying. When we have
Down
this
one
one.
hundred.
Those my backpack's over in the corner where I belong.
Do you want me to have the full?
Yeah, I'm ready. I was gonna just go stand over there. Dude,
Get on the
the
way?
pit has been a nightmare today. I took a picture of this and then like this half already, so as soon as they pull this. I love this show.
Make sure I do. 3 minutes for.
No, I just swear.
How you been?
Not too bad.
Yourself to death.
I try not to.
Life's too short for that.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
How about you?
Oh, it's near to my assistant, so I don't have to. Yeah.
Can we start?
No. Hey, Darren.
That is
Are
a
you
long,
serious?
long day. Jeez.
Oh, do we get?
Oh,
Oh, of the food.
Wow.
easy time with that.
I was gonna say, you can get a picture, you can act like you're Saturday. I'm okay with that.
Get a picture of it.
I did last time. Okay, I'm good.
Great.
But that's, good, sir.
How are you?
Yeah. This week hasn't been too bad. I had like 40 cancellations. Well, not cancellations, just.
You guys have any kids?
That's the way to do it.
We do, we have three. We have one left. I'm going to the two older ones. My older boy lives here.
But like we were on stuff out of this room, showing over there, taking pictures, showing stuff in this room.
Yeah, seriously.
I get that all the time.
Don't you love that?
We're like, what were you, like 12? Like,
Yeah.
maybe.
Where are you going?
Yeah, 3 times now. Yeah, I know that's got three young ones, and they're fun. They're good.
Yeah.
Watch them. I guess.
That's the fun part.
What about you?
Yeah, I see you. I got my first granddaughter all year together, so.
There you go. Real March.
Yeah. I'm Mike. I don't know your name. Who's in? Because you moved from Salt Lake. Yeah. Yeah, we're out of Vegas. We're out of Vegas, so yeah, we've been off this.
Other than the ones that are
Yeah, it's been fun. I try to, trying to get out to as much as I can. I went to the board tour on Tuesday. Just, it was amazing how many people show up for that. The virtual or the not the virtual tour, the house, the board tour. I think it's called. Every Tuesday.
I'm Stuart.
This Jim's said it was like 40 to 50 people. And really didn't. So I guess I'm trying to network and try to find myself.
Our board.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's up there with that other knucklehead.
Yeah.
I gotta go get a picture.
You mind if I join you?
So, will that be your first franchise?
I was kind of fun to sit out.
Yeah.
So that many
But you
people.
feel like your grandpa, you
See if I took
I know what you got, keep trying to go to composite mother than grandma, and then it's like, grandma just.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good to be here.
You too.
Yeah.
Swung by just for a minute yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, I dropped off a couple cards and some brochures.
Good. Perfect repeller. Hi, how are you? Good. Yeah, you guys had a good time last week? Yeah.
No, it's,
That's okay. But, you're in great hands with it anyway. I know. Everybody's like, oh, that was another one, we missed it. Yeah, I don't know if there's another one. I have a few more people that wanted to go and just listen. Well, let me know. And then we can go straight correlate when I got 4 people that want to go. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, you tell me too when you, when they want to go. Groceries and weekends, you said no weekends, right? But they're mostly worker being all week. Yeah. Except for lunch. Talk to me when I go into my yeah. No, just come up with a date and we can have it. Yeah, so maybe we can do something after. Let's say maybe it's in December, like right after Thanksgiving. That work goes crazy. I'll be here. Okay, I'll shoot it out after everybody. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that.
I was there yesterday and I left. Exactly. I think I left about 1 o'clock.
I think I got there about 11 on a super gallant front just for a minute. And she was like, well, there's a bunch of people still in meetings. And
Oh, that's right. I was in the holiday meeting, so. Okay.
and I was like, let's counter that. I just wanted to say hi. And she's like, okay, I'll make sure that you do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm offering, I'm really excited, I don't know if the room fits the camera, so
We're offering.
I just wanted to warn you, in case you're saying something that you want to be
Trash on
private.
anybody? I
Like
wouldn't,
it.
please.
30 days.
Thanks, Barry. Nice to see you.
I think that's. Oh, really? Yeah, like I said, we're different. that's different for the betterment of the homeless. You know, and I'm not bad knowledge, but just some of the feedback that I get from some agencies, how they would be happy that another agency comes
But I hope
at least that's what it sounds like.
I will, I absolutely will.
We do things differently. Well, you know, there's a big market split for vacation homes, and we don't do vacation homes.
So if he has.
So that's.
Is that going to be the podium or is it going straight into the wall or into the
You're the president. Oh, you know? No.
How are you?
I got a spot up front. Sorry, there you go. You're best. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
I just want to make it.
You have a countdown on this game?
Is everyone at your meeting?
Either I know that Sugar News has a house for sale.
Good? All right, yourself? Staying busy? Yeah. Why do you need
How are you? How are you?
So I don't know why it's slowed down.
Right up front. You like John Long in the dark where he is now?
That's where you guys at.
Well,
Are you guys at a meeting?
gotta get it quick otherwise. I learned the plan. Is that what it is?
Get a lot of snow in Ogden. So you're from Ogden?
Yeah, for like a year.
Oh, it's right there, Heather. For you.
Oh. You know what? The turbo fell apart. And I ended up driving back from Cedar City at 20 miles an hour. But luckily I could company. What's that?
I didn't recognize it was
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I looked at you. I was like, oh, it's you. Before we both stopped shaving, right?
Yeah,
At the
you're
beginning of
okay, November.
October.
Is that what it is? Yeah,
It's been a long time.
It's been fun.
Nuclear lunch goes up.
Exactly. I get that all the time. It's been a learning curve for sure. I've been thinking about starting a live broadcasting business. But yeah, I gotta find somebody to run it. What's that's a wireless receiver because their podium is so. Most places I don't know why, but they don't have. Nobody's able to give me an audio
in San Diego
from their PA, so I just hijack their audio and then I feed it back in. Then I'm able to play music.
I gotta get it.
How are you? Good. Haven't met you guys in forever.
Heather Belsky.
Heather Bell's here. How's Steve? How's
Hey, Chad.
I saw you
young for that, but I don't look that.
Hey!
I kind of outside of. I had to go something first. How you doing? Good. Yeah, what did you do?
That's not me. That's on their side. Only thing I hijacked
Beautiful view. How are you?
How are you? Good, Luz. Good to see you. Yeah. Buried in my computer. That's where I always am. I just send my wires to virus agents. And then I just come home and my desk.
Nice. That's pretty good. It's all readable. Living reading. I don't If you were 95, I almost got in a car hour. For sure. I mean, I just I could
But
I needed to look there.
Not here, no kids. I wrote you a text the other day, and then I never sent it.
Oh no.
I say come over for breakfast. Tomorrow?
I can do that. Oh yeah,
Are you all ready? We ordered, yeah, we ordered. So yeah. And I heard yeah. So she's her family. So I invited like 4 more families. So we're just gonna make it like fun. Just friends. Nobody seems to be home by themselves.
Tech guys, it wasn't matter.
Yeah, but still want to know. We have that instead of meat. Yeah.
She got me a shirt.
I'm with TDS. Right now, I'm living on
Someone always says it when you don't want to.
I snuck in there. Sneak you up on later. A little bit of warm water. So if you let all your students
Went out by ambulance. Close up the door on the We appreciate everybody coming out this afternoon. I'd like to welcome you. My name is Dean. I'm your 2021 board president. We're going to get started here with the invocation by James Fernandez from Fairway Mortgage, and then we'll have a pledge of allegiance by Chris Bilkey and Jared.
Dear kind and Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for this opportunity we have to be able to meet together as friends and as neighbors, and ask that as we are here today, that our minds be open to the speaker that is here to speak to us today, and that we enjoy the company that we have. We're grateful for this area that we live in, and for all the blessings that that has given to each one of us here. For these things we humbly pray in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started, we have City Staff, WCBR President, and to be recognized. There you go. All right. Thank you for your service. And any new members of the board, since our last meeting, you're here. Do what you can. Very nice. Right here.
Couple of quick announcements before we turn the time over to our speaker. November 18th through December 10th, we're going to have the Christmas toy drive. This is in conjunction with M&S Turquoise Jewelry and the Community Relations Committee. You might have seen the flyer like this going around. If not, it will be coming to you. So all the details are on there. The community members can pick these up if you need to, or you can drop it off at the board office, or we'll have them in the brokerage. November 25th and 26th, the board office will be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. November 29th through December 10th, online WCBR elections and new officers and directors will be going on. So right now, you can go to our website and you can see the candidates and read the bios. So I would encourage you to do that and get an idea so that when you release the ballot at the end of the month, you can go ahead and vote and support who you'd like to see serving as capacity for the next 2 years. Let's see here. December 9th, sign up for the Salvation Army bell ringing at the Smith's Dino Crossing. So we will be doing that again this year. The times will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm guessing it'll be about 15-minute increments. So anybody that would like to do so is encouraged to volunteer. We look forward to seeing you out there. And it's for a good cause and a good thing for us to do to get back. Our next meeting will be December 16th at the Dixie Center. That'll be our installation luncheon where we will swear in the 2022 new board officers. And then, of course, December 24th is the Christmas holiday and the board office will be closed. Okay? If there's any questions or anything I may have forgotten, please grab me after and I'll be sure to inform you. Just real quick, because I know how we are at the end, we like to get up and get out of here after our speaker's done. We just want to thank Darren Chase for the photography. Appreciate him coming out and doing that. Our programs and socials committee for putting all this together. Cammie and her team, we really appreciate all Joe and our tech committee for making sure everything's running with the audio visual and all that stuff. Zoom, Facebook Live, everything. Thank you. And our staff at the board, Angie and Linda are here, and then also Mandy and Judy. We appreciate all they do, and of course, Bardell. Let's give them a round of applause. Nothing extraordinary for letting us be here and everything and participating. You ready? All right. Let me say a little bit about Kevin. Kevin is the director of the Greater Science Convention and Tourism Office. His career started in broadcasting, and his portfolio includes national advertising awards for television, print, multimedia, and web campaigns. He grew up in Salt Lake City, holds degrees in broadcast journalism and English from Southern Utah University. In his role as tourism director, Kevin oversees all tourism-related functions for Washington County, including marketing, advertising, and tourism development. Kevin plays the different countries and nearly $18 million in economic impact. Here's the impressive part. Give a round of applause for that. This is really neat. In 2022, St. George will host 2 more World Championships. In May, for the first time ever, the Ironman World Championship will move from Kona, Hawaii to St. George. That event will be the most significant sporting event to happen in Utah since the 2002 Winter Olympic Games. Go ahead. Do another round of applause real quick. In October, St. George will again host the Ironman 70.3 World Championship for the 2nd year in a row. So we've got a big year next year with the Ironman. Kevin, we appreciate you being here. Turn the time over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It really is pretty exciting times here, and it's good to be with you folks. I see a lot of familiar faces and a I haven't met yet. Hope to meet you. My wife and I moved down here 30 years ago and fell in love with this place. We didn't know what we were getting into then, but I will say, I'll take you really back. One quick story. One of the first things we did when we moved down, our neighborhood did an aid station at the St. George Marathon. It was the very first aid station at the very top of the hill at the time. And so we were up at 3:30 in the morning, stacking cups of water and Gatorade, getting ready for those 7,500 people to come through. And I was so impressed by the community, the enthusiasm, the energy of the sport. And what happened there, it changed me as a person. It was a neat thing. And so, you'll see as we go through the dialogue of what we've done over the course of the years here, how that kind of feeling and that kind of energy plays into everything we're about here. So, as was mentioned, I'm the director of the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office, and I want to introduce two people that you'll want to know here. So, Sarah Otto on the very end is our marketing manager. She keeps all of the word and messaging going out there and all the communication that we have across the globe moving and is really fantastic at that. And then Sierra Parkinson just joined our team last week. She is our brand new position, Community and Partner Relations. And so you want to get to know Sarah because she's going to be involved in the community and the partner relations throughout the area. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office just to get started. So tourism has been a big thing in this community for a long time. 4 or 5 years ago, the department was named the St. George Convention and Tourism Office. And we're a division of Washington County government. So we work for Washington County. I answer directly to the commissioners. And when I became the tourism director, one of the things I had heard, I'd worked in tourism for a while, one of the things I'd heard was, all of the communities outside of St. George were like, what about us, right? And we were representing ourselves as the St. George Convention and Tourism Office. Certainly there was a reason for that. There was some real good that happened from that. But we felt like with the growth of the entire county and the communities around and all the tourism infrastructure that was being built, we needed to create a brand that could house all of the entities, all the tourism entities and all the communities. And so we did a bunch of stakeholder meetings, we did a bunch of research, and we came back with this Greater Zion brand. And so in 2019, we launched that as the tourism brand, and it has really done something phenomenal for us because it has allowed everybody to kind of get under that and embrace it. But the world recognizes Zion. It's the 4th largest national park in the country. There are 4.5 million people that come there every year. And so that name was really important in our branding strategy, but we wanted to be more than that. And that's where we came up with this whole Greater Zion initiative. Our vision as a tourism office, really 3 things: inspire greater, experience greater, and live greater. And I just, as I was onboarding Sierra, I was going through this and reminding myself of that, everything we do as individuals that work for the tourism organization should include those 3 things. We should be inspiring in all that we do. We need to be experiencing all of the things that we have here, and as a result of that, we live greater. And so that's our vision statement, but our mission is really streamlined to maximize the revenue that is generated by visitors to create a superior experience for the visitors and the residents. And that's critical. Those 2 components are really, really critical. We get a lot of economic impact from visitation, and we'll talk through some of the numbers today to show you how that impacts your lives, specifically and individually. But it's really critical that we utilize that to not only create a robust visitor economy, but make our lives better here. And so everything we do, the decisions we make, we try to keep those 2 things in mind, those visitors and residents. We came up with a manifesto for our office, just to kind of talk about who we are, what we do, and created this video to tell this story. So we'll just watch that right now. Play.
In southwest Utah, there is a rare wonder that people are drawn to. From near and far, generation after generation, they come for reasons they can't explain. Compelled by a feeling that comes from deep within. And in this extraordinary place, a collection of communities filled with optimism and purpose have grown and thrived. On their own, they are good. But together, they are greater. Working as one, their differences beautifully blend to challenge your adventurous spirit and immerse you in the impossible. Here, you can dive in the middle of the desert. Walk among giants. Hike through a dragon's lair. And climb to where angels land. Here we are reminded of what it's like to be curious, carefree, and completely in awe of the world around us. This place is greater than just one park. This place is greater than just one passion. This place is Greater Zion.
I really don't think there's anywhere in the world you can go and do all of what you just saw within a 45-minute to 1 hour radius. Everything in there is in that radius. We live in an incredible place. And as you are very aware, the world is discovering that. Yeah, it's at our website. You can see that there. You bet. And I'll show you. I'll give you that information too, where to get that stuff. So as I said, we're part of county government. But we're not funded by property taxes or personal taxes or anything like that. Everything that runs our office is paid for by the visitors. And I'll talk you through this in a little more detail later, but just the basic concept is that when somebody comes to the stays in a hotel, they pay a percentage of the room rate goes to a tax called transfer room tax. That's what funds our office, and that's how we do all we do. And that tax is legislated to be spent to market, promote, establish tourism in the area, and that creates this really powerful economic cycle. But our roles over the years have changed. Back in 2010, 2013, all we did was market. We're out there just really focused on marketing. But as the landscape has shifted, the tourism landscape has shifted, we've had to transition into doing more of destination management, taking care of the destination and all that's here, and then also destination development, meaning we're investing into the future of the destination so that it stays, so we keep the quality of our lifestyle good through the economics that we're doing. Way back in 2010, we held our first Ironman event. It was 2007, late 2007, early 2008, when we first started talking with Ironman about bringing an event like that here. I had just started in the tourism office. I wasn't the director at the time, but my role then was sports and venture marketing. And somebody came into my office and said, "Hey, what do you think about trying to bring an Ironman to St. George?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" I was just naive enough to think, yeah, we could do this. At the time, there were only 6 Ironman full distance races in the country, and we were, reaching out to them to try and bring this event here. And so we took off. We just started, barking up trees and trying to figure out who we could contact, who's the right person who would find out what we have here. We could explain what we have and how we could do this. And we figured it out. We got the first race here in 2010. Since that time, 13 years later, we're holding world championships, and that's where that relationship has grown. We just held, as we talked about, the Ironman 70.3 World Championship. With that event, we created a theme that really resonated in the triathlon space, and it resonates so well with our community and our heritage and everything, but this idea of the land of endurance. It was picked up just just significantly by all of the triathlon spaces. Everyone in the triathlon world is now kind of referring to this area as the land of endurance. And we had this tagline to it, rise to it. So we created another video to send out all the athletes who were preparing for the World Championship to show them what they were coming to. And here's one more taste of this landscape and what we are with our land of endurance team.
There is a call, whispered on the wind. Echoing from the canyons of the storied American Southwest. Over forest, mountain, and desert, to the four corners of the earth. Come to the land of endurance. It beckons those familiar with sacrifice, who know what it is to stand ready, heart pounding, sweat weeping. Plunge into a desert oasis, ride beneath stone towers, run through ancient lava fields. This environment is one of contrasts. Harsh in appearance, hospitable in experience. Approach early, whispers the breeze. Inhale, stay, and recover. Naturally, actively. Exhale. Come claim your place on a course 2 billion years in making. Summoned by your own accomplishment. Earned through effort. Measured in time. Embark where champions tread. In a land sculpted by persistence and determination. Where water, wind, and time relentlessly press on. And the spirit of the land speaks your language. The winding and weather-worn canyon walls stand guard over your journey. The land of endurance is calling. Rise to it.
So our concept with Ironman from the beginning was to not just bring an event in that would bring people and create, instant economic impact, which it does. It does all of that. But that event speaks to us through the passion of the athletes that participate in it, and it resonates with the passion of our community and the enduring effort that it took to build this landscape, to create a community that could survive in a really harsh conditions. And then it's a sport that takes people through all of the different areas of our land, and it gives us an opportunity to showcase the land in a way that we never had to. It was very natural to just showcase it because they're swimming in Sand Hollow State Park in the reservoir, and they're biking through Snow Canyon State Park, and everywhere in between, you're seeing these just incredible shots. And that was the concept of bringing that event here. Well, again, it's not just to bring a bunch of people here for something, but we could create a visual message and an emotional message with an event like that. And so over the course of 10 years, we've done that to the point where now the whole world looks at us as this land of endurance, this place where they can come and have an experience where their passion meets our passion. And it accomplished something really, really profound by doing that. So the World Championship event, you see the numbers there, the athletes, the number of countries, first-time visitors, and those that want to return, and everything just resonated with this event. They all want to come back. And we found that over and over. Basically, about 80% of the people that come to participate in an Ironman triathlon say they're going to come back. They're going to bring their family on vacation, and they're going to, they end up doing more than that when they're here. But really successful event. And again, when I talk about these emotions and these feelings, these are people who are putting their whole, blood, sweat, and tears, their whole life into this. This is one that Sarah and I met on the Tuesday before the event. As we're walking down by Town Square to do some setup stuff, we noticed this Amessa is her name, and she's from Budapest, Hungary. And she's out in front of the monument there, the big M dot in Town Square, taking selfies. And so we just reached out and said, "Do you want us to take a picture of you?" And she said, "Oh, I'm good." But we heard her accent. Said, "Where are you from?" She told us where she's from. She starts telling the story. So in the middle of a pandemic, you can't get here. The U.S. borders were closed. But Amessa figured out that she could fly to Dubai and spend 14 days in Dubai, and then fly here and come and do a world championship event. And she was so ecstatic about it. And we had sent out videos and information to these athletes who had qualified for the world championship. They saw the images of the M.Dot sculpture downtown. And this is the killer for me, is she's standing there in front of this taking these selfies. And she said to Sarah and I, she said, "I saw this monument on the video, and now I'm here." And she's in tears telling us this story, and then pretty soon we're in tears, they put so much into coming to an event like this, and they come to a place who has people like us who care the same way that they do, have the same kind of passions and emotions about it, that we're willing to do things like put monuments in the middle of the road, and to celebrate those accomplishments, and not only the athletic accomplishments, but the local accomplishments, the volunteers and the agencies that put all this together. That's what that monument's about, is celebrating all the good things that happen here and creating a moment. There's so many stories I could tell about these athletes that come through. A couple of real quick ones. I know we don't have a lot of time, but the first one on the left there is Kyle Brown from Farmington, Utah. Kyle was diagnosed with ALS, which is a disease that will kill you. There's no cure for it right now. And he was given 6 months to live, get qualified for the event. But his body was changing, things were changing, he was noticing some things coming. So he has 6 months basically to live. And he said, "I'm not gonna let this stop me. I'm gonna go ahead and make my dream come true." And he did. He came down here and he finished the event. He came through the finish line with a banner that said, "There's no cure for me, but there can be for you." And so he's fighting to win this battle. The other one in the middle is Lauren Parker. Lauren she was a triathlete 4 years ago. She was training on her bike and both tires blew out and she wrecked and hit a guardrail on the road. And it messed her up big time, all kinds of damage and everything. But the one thing that everything could heal except the spinal cord. And so she was paralyzed. So she became a para-triathlete, competed in the Tokyo Olympics. This is 4 years after this accident, and takes the silver medal in Tokyo by 1 second. She lost the gold by a second. Somebody passed her at the very end of that race. And then just weeks after that, comes out here to do her first Ironman 70.3 para-triathlon at the World Championship. So because she's an Olympic qualifier, she qualifies for this as well. And so when she's on her trip here, her and her friends stop in Vegas and spend some time there. Well, she's in the car, and I don't know if you remember, September was pretty warm, right? She's in Vegas, she's got her feet up on the dashboard, not realizing that 100-degree, 110-degree temperature coming through the windshield is turning into 300 degrees or whatever, and she got third-degree burns all over her feet. Now, she can't feel them, right? but it's still a bad situation. So they brought her to Intermountain Healthcare here in St. George because it's one of the best burn units in the country. They brought her here and they start taking care of her wounds. And this is a week before the race. And they don't know if she's going to be able to do this. There was talk about even amputating toes and whatever. And, Lauren's like, take them off. I can't feel them anyway, right? But, how are you going to do a triathlon with this kind of stuff? Well, these nurses that are there in the picture with her said, look, we can figure this out. And so they came down to the race. They dressed her wounds before the swim. She did the swim. She came back out. They cleaned them up, got them all bandaged up again and ready to go. She did the bike. She did the run. And she finished the race. And Lauren says the hardest thing she's ever done. I don't know if you remember the weather on September 18th, but we had Utah weather. We got 4 seasons in 2 hours. And the athletes got all of that. This is the kind of commentary we see all the time. I wanted to tell you, St. George has the greatest hospitality of any race I've been to with Ironman. They've done 17 plus Ironman races and 30 plus Ironman 70.3 races. And this is the best hospitality we've had in any of them. And that's why we're doing this now. Because we care. Because we do it different than anybody. And so when New Zealand was having trouble, Ironman's having trouble trying to put on the World Championship in New Zealand, they had to cancel it in 2020. They pushed it to 2022. Well, guess what? It's still not possible to have a race in New Zealand in 2022. They don't know that's going to happen. Ironman comes to us and said, what would you think of doing the Ironman 7.3 in New Zealand? That was a month before we're holding our World Championship. And we are knee deep, neck deep, head deep in like, what? And they're asking us, do you want to do another one? I was on a Zoom call with Diana at the time, and she told me, she said she saw me do this. But I came back out of that and said, okay, let's figure it out. So we did that. Well, then we get them here for the race, and all of the executives are here, Andrew Messick and Diana, who's the World Championship Vice President. And we're at the VIP reception on Wednesday night before our race on Saturday. And Diana pulls me aside and she said, I need to pull you aside with Andrew. We got something to talk about. And she said, you need to trust me. I said, okay. I trust you, but I'm scared of you. But we pulled aside that night and sat down and they said, look, we're not going to be able to pull this off in Hawaii and we need to have a world championship. And we know you guys can do it. We want to see if you're open to having the Kona full distance race in St. George. And so we figured it out over the course of, I didn't really enjoy this world championship like I thought I would because I was in the middle of negotiations in the middle of the night trying to figure out this contract and everything. But basically this is what happened. They said St. George has proven itself time and time again as a world-class venue where champions choose to rise to the challenge of land of endurance. And as a result, we're announcing that we're going to host the Ironman St. George event on May 7th. We were going to have a full distance race on May 7th. We've upgraded that from the North American Championship to the World Championship. And then we're going to hold the race in October, the 70.3 World Championship again. So 3 World Championships in the course of 13 months. Incredible. Nobody's ever done anything like that in the world. That's the cycle that we have now. So the 2021 Ironman World Championship in 2022. The race in Kona, it's been there since 1978. They did an independent study on that race to determine the economic impact. And that study says the economic impact for that race is $70 million. Now, we're not Kona. We understand that. We don't want to be Kona, really. We want to be ourselves. And so we're going to keep our own brand and do our own thing. And, I know when you go to Hawaii, you're going to stay longer. You're going to do that. So, but I've looked at that and said, if we get half of that, it'll be the largest economic impact that we've ever had by double for any event we've ever done here. And then, like I said, this is what people are saying about it. Jeff Robbins, the CEO of Utah Sports Commission, maybe the biggest event in Utah since the 2002 Winter Olympics. The head of the United States Olympic Committee, Sarah Hirschland, was asked, how is Utah preparing to host the Winter Olympics in 2030 or 2034? Which I'm thinking about that bit. She said, well, they're holding events like the Ironman World Championship. That's the impact. That's the level of this. It's going to change the dynamics of our community in a way that I don't think we can even anticipate, because the eyeballs are on us now. the stories that are out there aren't just sports stories. They're totally business level stories, economic impact, and you're going to see the attention of people in different spaces who are going to look to this area and say, well, if they can do that there, maybe they can do this, and maybe that's bring my business here. I think you're going to see a lot of impact that. And I'm certain that you probably felt a little bit of that in your industry. You've seen the people whose eyeballs come here from an event, from some kind of a vacation or something they've done, and then they say, wow, there's something unique here. I want to be part of it. We have that in our office. We have people that work here in our office who said, I just kind of felt drawn here, right? And they end up moving and working for us. What's crazy is it's not just Ironman. You know, 2 weeks after holding the Ironman World Championship, anybody heard of the Red Bull Rampage? Yeah, we hosted the Red Bull Rampage, which is the biggest sporting event in that space. In fact, I think I have a video here talking about that. There you go.
Welcome to one of the most beautiful and formidable zones on the planet, the picturesque landscape of southwestern Utah. Now, for most people, this terrain is difficult to hike up, but for a select few, this is the perfect terrain to send it down on a mountain bike. They reach speeds of 40 miles an hour, and they'll be hitting kickers in the 60-foot range. Every year, the mountain biking community is descending upon Virgin, Utah for what is beyond the Super Bowl of this sport. It is more than a championship game. There's nothing else like it in the world of mountain biking, let alone all of action sports. This is Rampage.
Red Bull Rampage is the pinnacle of freeride mountain biking, and it's crazy. It's big, burly, and it's awesome and hard.
Your destiny is not decided on some course builder building something. You show up there and you can do anything.
With this being an interpretive contest, the riders get to choose their line. So line choice is definitely the most important judging criteria. And then your favorites, of course, from other contests: speed, fluidity, amplitude, and of course, tricks.
My opinion, Rampage is the only event that actually defines mountain biking really is. It's just the one place where you can come and truly express who you are as a rider.
Anybody want to do that? One of the things that tourism has done to our economy is it's definitely helped the medical community. So we had Red Bull 2 weeks after the Ironman World Championship. All of these events happened within 6 weeks from the Ironman World Championship. St. George Marathon, Red Bull Rampage, Huntsman World Senior Games, 10,000 athletes, as big as the Summer Olympics, were UTV Takeover out of Sand Hollow, which is a big UTV off-road event. Trail Heroes, another one, rock crawlers and all of that kind of stuff. The Utah High School Mountain Bike Championships held here, the largest high school sporting event in the country, held right here. All of this happened in 6 weeks. It's crazy what's going on. This place has changed. And so, you know, a little bit of the story is how did we get here? And we talked a little bit about that, but historically, there wasn't a tourism component in this area. Harley P. Pratt called it a poor and worthless place. Jay Kimball, he said, if I had a house in Hell and a house in St. George, I'd rent out the one in St. George and live in hell. That was the attitude, right? This was not a good place to be. The people that came here originally were sent here. They didn't come by choice, they were sent, right? And it's changed, but there were people like Orville Hateman who in the beginning saw something different. And what he noticed is that the whole focus on this economy and everything here was just wresting a living out of the soil, trying to get a toehold economically. But he saw something different. This is clear back in the 1930s. Instead of isolated little farms and cattle ranches, we may be in the midst of a recreational center, which will entirely change our attitudes, outlook, and associations and opportunities. He saw it. He got it. And Orville actually had a vision of something going on up in Padre Canyon where Tuacahn is. That was sort of his initial thrust there. But he was one of the originators. He was pushing for a golf course here back in the 60s. We opened up Red Hills Golf Course, and that was a major struggle back then. You're going to take the water that we worked so hard to get, you're going to put it on grass. Nobody wanted to do that. It was a major fight, but they pulled it off, and he told them, it's not for you. This is for the other people. And this is the challenge, this is the thing that really changes the dynamics, is when you open up your economy to the outside, when you're willing to share, it changes everything. From just being a land of survival, this became a land of opportunity. It was tourism that did that. Just opening up the vision and saying, look, we have something really unique here, we can share it, we can celebrate it. So that's what's happened. So the way tourism economy works is you get all these people from the outside in the big funnel, they come in, and then they filter their way down. Pretty soon they're buying homes, they're starting businesses, they're doing things like that. It just filters all the way down. I don't have a lot of time, I'm gonna zip through this really quickly, but easily a $600 million economic impact each year from direct spending by visitors. 8,900 jobs are created, and you can see the data there. There's 11 million in state tax, 25 million in sales tax. Total output maybe 732 million. That's from a 2019 study. We've had record-breaking years in tourism. I told you how this works. Basically, that tourism transient room tax, they pay when they stay in a hotel. In 2019, that was $9 million. It's going up this year substantially. That spending has to be monitored by a tax advisory board. So everything we do, we just presented our budget to the board for next year, and we approve that budget. The commission actually approves it. They recommend it, and then we're able to go forward with the things that we do. At least 47% of the budget has to be spent for what's called establishing and promoting tourism. So that can be advertising and marketing, that can be investing in events like Ironman and bringing those kinds of things here. And it can be, some of it can be used for some infrastructure purchases and things like that. But there's another 53% that can directly be used for developing tourism. And so things like the convention center, Tuacahn, trails, the Snake Hollow Bike Park, things like that. We just got a grant for $10.3 million from UDOT that we had to match 20% of that. So $3 million from our office, $10 million from the state to build a paved path from La Verkin to Springdale. That's going to happen in the next 5 years. So that's how we're using this money. The other thing that's really important to note is it also offsets the taxes that we would have to pay as locals. So instead of increasing your taxes, you're actually getting a benefit from it to the tune of about $1,200 annually. If we didn't have tourism taxes and everything's going on with tourism, then you'd have to pay that much more each year for the services and things that we have available to us here. So it's really a beneficial thing. I was going to take a commercial break, but I think we probably ought to take a question break because we're running out of time. So any questions or anything I can, Yeah.
You mentioned how you're getting the hotel tax, service tax that people stay.
Yeah.
How are we affected with the night rentals? People renting out homes that are not inside of night rental communities.
That's a really good question. So 3 or 4 years ago, we weren't getting much of anything from it. It was pretty random. Those who were legitimate, good business owners that had short-term rentals were paying, but there was a whole bunch that were not. We were able to navigate some legislation that anybody who is registered or signed up with Airbnb or VRBO, the state collects the tax from them if they have to pay it through that service, and then that gets remitted back to us. There's still quite a bit of that. That's a number of them that aren't operating under those platforms and are doing it under the table, so to speak. And some of them may not even know that they're supposed to do it, but there's a lot of that going on. And that has really changed the dynamic in our tourism industry for sure. People like to stay in those properties, and so it's become kind of a boon for us when we collect the tax. There are also challenges to just, again, housing prices and availability for, the industry workers. We have a real shortage in service level staff and whatever. And part of the problem is just housing. And when some of those properties that might normally be used as long-term rentals and other things are turned into short-term rentals, that's not available anymore. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic. Definitely a lot going on in discussions there.
Did you bring these events here? How difficult is it to get volunteers?
Gosh, another great question. The question was, how do we get volunteers? How difficult is it? We live in a remarkable community for that. There's a volunteer spirit here like no other. And people like, groups like Ironman, when they come here and experience it, they're like sincere about that this is the best volunteer community they ever go to, and our agencies and everything else. But it's getting harder and harder because there's more and more of this stuff, right? You saw that list of events, and we all get tired, we all have lives, we can't just volunteer for everything. And so we're trying to do some things. One of the things that, Sierra's position is about, one of the key focuses on that is creating some kind of a volunteer reward program of some sort that helps us give back to those people who are giving over and over and over again. They're critical to the component of doing this. We need it to happen. Yet to have those volunteers, couldn't have the events without them. But there's a limit too to what people can do. So I have to, my praise goes out because we are seriously one of the best communities for that. But we certainly recognize the demand that is coming as we grow and put more and more demand up. Yeah.
How many of the events are you going to sponsor for Greater Zion? Like St. George City does, Washington City, how involved are you going to be?
So our office, operationally is less involved in a lot of those events. The Ironman is the one that we sort of we're all in on Ironman, but financially, we contribute to quite a few of them. We support them financially, Huntsman Senior Games, St. George Marathon, some of those others. And we have a program for event organizers who can come to our office with an application saying, I want to put on this event. And if it makes sense from a tourism perspective, we have some money to do that with. That's how we've grown this. Some of these events that are on that list started a lot smaller than they are, and they grew much bigger over time. Yeah. To stay. So luckily, we've had growth in both the hotel industry and the short-term rental industry, which has given us the base. So initially, we put in the bid for the 2017 70.3 World Championship. And one of the key factors in us not getting that bid was we didn't have quite enough hotel rooms at the time. We didn't have enough rooms. We've grown substantially since then. So we're okay with that, but it does create, pressure. Those events will fill up the entire place. And so it puts pressure on, some of the other people who want to come in. For sure. One of the biggest weekends, I'm looking at Chris back there. It's like, he could tell you, really the dynamics in this, but, President's Day weekend is like grand opening, and you got the Parade of Homes, thank you. Yeah. Home show. Parade of Homes, which is huge, a massive event. So some of these events and activities are a lot more glamorous, right? They show really well. Others just bring really good impact. And the Parade of Homes is one of those.
Can any of those funds be used for roads?
Right now, no. We have to get really creative to use funds for roads right now, the way the legislation is. I have a meeting set on Friday with one of our legislators and tax advisory board, the commissioners, to talk about there's going to be a lot of discussion in the legislature this year on flexibility and use of that. We have some specific needs. Those are definitely funds that come from the visitors. They need to be used in the visitor economy. But there's no question that some of the things we do, obviously an Ironman uses roads, right? And so there's some impact on there. We've been able to navigate some things. Bike paths, yes, we can do. No problem on those. But roads, it's a little trickier to navigate that. Yeah, right here.
So I don't know about anybody else, but I like all those events you have there. I didn't know about a lot of them, and we usually find out about events after the fact. Do you know if there's any plans to have a local TV station so those things can be advertised to the community in a better way?
Yeah, good. So there's the community education channel is about the only one right now that does that. And unfortunately, we have not figured out how to get Wasatch Front stations to connect with us the way they ought to. I really think you're going to see some transition in that. And part of that's just the dynamics of, again, we talked in our tourism advisory board meeting. We may be, this year, we have been number 3 in transient room tax collections for a number of years. We've been the 3rd highest county in the state. First being Salt Lake and second being Summit County, Park City area. There's a really good chance we'll be number 2 this year. There's a slight chance by the end of the year we might be number 1. We're a force to be reckoned with down here with what's going on. There's no question. I was going to show you some charts and graphs, and we don't have time to see those, but COVID hit, and in 2 months, we lost 1.5 million in economic impact in those first 2 months of COVID. By the end of the year, we had made it all back up again. So we were able to flip the table again and get it positive again. In 2021, we're up 70% above 2019 numbers, or 2020 numbers. 2020 numbers were equal to 2019. So we've definitely made a shift. And again, part of that, you talk about this whole, what changed? How did we get to where we're at? And I go back to, one of the really key dynamics was back in 2010 when we hosted the first Ironman event. Prior to that, you think about what we were known for. Golf, retirement. Every article you saw was about St. George, the #1 retirement community country. That's all you saw, and it's a great place to golf. We were able to flip the switch there and expose the other things that we have here, all the other stuff. And I really think that was the turning point in the perception of this area and what it meant. Nobody talks about golf and retirement anymore. They do, but not at the level they used to. They're talking about all this other stuff, right? So anyway, good question. We've got to get, that would be helpful. We do have, I was going to try and find the slide. I'm out of time, sorry. Let's see. There's where you can find the information we do. So greaterzion.com is our website, our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us on that, and you'll see information about that. We do an events and happenings this week that you can get on an email list and get that sent to you every week. That QR code, you can download it or whatever, get to that. And we're located in the Main Street Plaza there, 20 North Main, right by these guys. Our good neighbors, yeah. So that's how you can learn more, and we encourage you to do that and get involved in. I was going to show you how all of these assets, and I mean, we want Greater Zion to be represented everywhere. And so you're welcome to use these assets as long as you use them properly. You credit them right. You do it. And I had some examples I could show. We're out of time. I got to shush. Talk forever.
Is that where the videos are too?
Yes. Yeah. Sarah. Yeah. So up front, if any of you want, we've got some stickers and pins. You're welcome to come and grab some on the way out. And happy to talk independently with you. If you want to talk specifics on how to use the assets and things like that, we can get that information to you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to be here. We love what's going on.
Thank you, Kevin. How many of you feel proud to live here now? Real quick, this last weekend I was in San Diego representing you at the NAR convention. And when I'd sit down in round tables in a room like this, and they'd ask everybody, where are you from? And I would say, southwestern Utah, St. George. And they're like, oh, Zion National Park, oh, Bryce Canyon, all this. We are known. We are known. We are on the map. And it gave me a great sense of pride. It really did. When we got home Monday night, I saw that video playing in the airport, and it made me glad to be home. I love it here, and I hope you do too. Thank you again for coming out and everything that you shared with us. Let's do one round. Remember the announcements, bell ringing, the toy drive, and our installation banquet is at the Dixie Center on December 16th. Have a good holiday and enjoy Thanksgiving. Thank you.